now I can ask that question. How do people meet Jesus? Through their suffering, through their celebrations, through another person, through someone else who says, come, I want you to meet someone. Another person, a situation. 2 weeks ago, we focused on Saul and his coming to know Jesus through the bright light, and Jesus questioned why Saul was persecuting his followers. Last week, our focus was on an unnamed woman who recognized and acknowledged Jesus for who he is, and how she reached out in faith to touch his cloak, and how she was healed. Today, our focus is on a woman who comes across as bold, daring, outgoing, maybe even a little pushy, but challenges Jesus. And she challenges Jesus to respond to what is meant by having faith. And how much our faith may lead us to do act or to respond to God's Spirit is what this story calls us to figure out for ourselves at this time in our lives. God's Spirit leads us in new and unexpected ways. And it is by faith that we respond. But how do we understand this woman in light of the place and role that women played at Jesus' time? You got to remember, women did not speak to strangers. Women did not go out on the street unless accompanied. Women who were never named because they were always associated by their husband, as even in this particular story, is unnamed as well. But this woman was unnamed, presented herself to a man, Jesus, a Jew, and was Jesus taken aback. Who is this woman? How does she know about Jesus? And how dare she challenge him? Jesus was on the move again. He is tired. He has healed people. He has taught people. And he's looking for a place to rest. So he's in the region of Tyre. He has walked a little ways, and he's now in another community where there must be a person that knows, oh yes, you can have a rest in my house. Somebody opened their doors to him and said, yes, go and have a rest. I understand you're tired. He needed to have a rest, away from people. And so what happens, Jesus is trying to be discreet, and he has found this place where he can have a rest and be alone. He enters a house, and somebody saw him. And how fast the message that Jesus was in town traveled in that little community. How fast did people talk about the man who they just saw coming into the community? After all, this man had raised a little girl from death. He was an amazing speaker and got people to think about God in a new way. How fast did news travel in that little town? But Jesus was tired. A woman in the area, not originally from the community, one of the ones that we call come from away, whether she lived there all her life or most of her life, we don't know. But she was Greek in background. She was born in Syria, Phoenicia, which is near the Greek border. And she had heard on the street, when she met with other women of the community, about this man, Jesus. And here he was in the community where she was now. How fast did news travel? Someone must have said, did you hear? Did you hear? Today we would text message all that information. Did you know Jesus is at so-and-so's house and he just arrived? Within seconds, people know today. But back then, they didn't even have the telephone. You know, the thing you have to dial? They didn't even have that. How fast news traveled. Jesus was in town. He was in a particular individual's home, and next thing Jesus knows, he's awakened. Bang, 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 bang. You hear that door being knocked upon. Jesus opens the door, hello, and the woman's at his feet. Please drive out the demon in my daughter. Heal her. My daughter is possessed by an evil spirit, and I know you can do something about it. Very direct, very clear as to what she wants Jesus to do. We have to understand what evil spirits were about that time. During that time, people didn't understand illnesses or disease. Everything was considered an evil spirit that was not understood. Medical health and knowledge was limited, very limited. So anything that was considered not healthy was considered an evil spirit coming from Satan, causing hurt, despair, illness, and possibly death. So this Greek-raised woman with no ties to the community, except for probably knowing a few people, a few women, a woman who is not Jewish, goes and raps on the door, uninvited, to someone else's house in the community, sees Jesus answer the door, and falls at his feet. Can you imagine the people in the background going, oh, how dare she? That she still lived in the community. She spoke with an accent, but she still knew the way that things were accepted. There's the kind of thing that happens in every community. The unspoken truth. You don't talk about anybody in a church, especially a rural church. They're all related. That's something you get to know very quickly. But this is part of the community that she's in. And what happens is that Jesus speaks to her that seems to in a way that's condescending and even rude. But who is this woman asking about healing for her daughter? Remember, the woman says, please heal my daughter. She has an evil spirit within her. And Jesus states, let the children eat all they want, for it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to their dogs. What is Jesus talking about? The children of the promise. The children of the promise, the Jewish people, men and women. They are the ones who should be receiving God's gifts first. That is, in Jesus' idea. He came to save those people which were lost. And in his mind, and in many of the people's minds there, it was the people who had faith and believed in him as the Son of God. They were Jewish first. But I'll explain a little bit more as we carry on, okay? Because one of the things that happened is that Jesus was Jewish, but yes, he brought a new way of living, a new way of understanding who God was. He did not dwell on the fact that he was Jewish, but he came and he talked to people of all communities. And one of the things that he did not expect this woman who on the doorstep to say, heal my daughter. Jesus looked at her and said, but the children need to be fed first. And then what's ever left over, we'll talk about it. They will be healed first. But we have to think about it, that the people, the dogs they're talking about in this particular story are not dogs that we call pet value dogs. Not the ones we have in our homes and all those guys. These are scavenger dogs that Jesus is referring to. There's no such thing as a pet at that time. They were dogs that were run free. And so there was a different kind of value placed on what he was referring to, children and dogs. When we talk about children and dogs today, we think of, oh, they just go together and they're wonderful. Children need puppies, children need kittens. They need a pet to grow. That whole idea of we hold on to it because it's good. But at that time, the only dogs that existed were scavenger and had a very negative connotation. They carried disease. They carried possible problems with anybody that came in contact with them. Jesus is saying that he came to bring wholeness to Jewish people and, if necessary, those outside the faith, those that were called Gentile, those that were seen differently from a Jewish point of view. Why would Jesus say something like this? Was he being serious? Was he just tired and grumpy? Did he want to be bothered at all with this woman? Or was Jesus really testing this woman on a different level than we first read this story? How was Jesus really meeting this woman? This mother is desperate. She's desperate to save her daughter's life and is willing to go where Jesus, a Jewish man, is resting. She's willing to break all social laws to have her daughter healed. Here she is, a Gentile woman at the door of a Jewish guest. And she's only heard that Jesus is loving and caring and that he's able to bring about healing and wholeness. But what he states seems to be hurtful and off-putting. Not the best meeting at first glance. But the woman doesn't go away. She's not angry. She's not upset. She's not crying. She hears Jesus' words, or what appears to be harsh. What actually occurs is that this woman teaches the teacher a couple of things by what she says. But yes, Lord, she acknowledges who Jesus is, the Son of God, Lord. But even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. She recognizes that she is in a different community, that she is a different person than Jesus in the sense of backgrounds and experiences. And she says, in a way, what it is that she's pushing for. She's pushing Jesus' perspective of who she is and can still be, even in his eyes. She offered her insight unprompted and very bravely. And through Jesus' action to heal her daughter, without even seeing her, Jesus recognizes her. A woman of faith. A woman from the outside of the community looking in for something, someone to bring about hope. All we do know is that Jesus was pleased to hear this woman speak. Those dogs she referred to, people not of the covenant, are still willing to receive anything from God. Anything. Healing, wholeness, faith. We are deserved as well. We deserve to be able to come to God just like all the Jewish people that Jesus was first speaking to and teaching and healing. So she changes his perspective and says, we too are God's children. We are worthy as well. My daughter is worth my while standing here talking to you because she too is a child of God. This woman is pushing Jesus to reconsider for who it is that he has come to save. Only the chosen people? The Jewish people? Or all who have faith in him? Then Jesus says, for such a reply, you may go. At this time, he doesn't say right away that, by the way, your daughter's fine. You can go right now. Maybe he was a little ticked at her. I don't know. Maybe he was testing her. I don't know the mood that Jesus was in when he answered the door, other than he was tired. But Jesus says, for such a reply, because you challenged me, you can go, and your daughter is well. This is the first time that Jesus has healed from a distance. He never even saw the little girl. He healed her from a distance and said, your daughter's fine. He was challenged. The woman had faith and she believed her daughter was worthy of God's attention and Jesus' time. Worth it. Time. When we think about all the things that we do and parents have done for generations for their children, it's worth it. And Jesus recognized it. He was challenged by this woman and said, but we're worth it. We are part of God's family. We are the children of God. She knew what Jesus meant by children and dogs, the have and the have-nots, those with power and those without. For in all of those situations, she was the one that was the outsider. And she acted in faith anyway. Her faith took her to the feet of Jesus, and in desperation, she asked for her child to be made well. The question is for us is how far does your faith take you? Where does your faith take you? Are you willing to identify those around you who need your love and care? And our worlds are different. We gather here as one church family, but if we were to draw all the circles where we all interact with other people outside of this building, our world, our community is large. There are many people hurting in our city, our friends who are grieving, people's children who are very ill, individuals who are alone and wish for only 5 or 10 minutes of someone else's time. There are people who are committed to living out their faith every day, but are not sure how to do it by reaching out and touching someone else's life. There are people who are committed to serving the church, but only when it fits their schedule or convenient sake. But we as a church family need to be reminded again that we have discerned to not only look after those in our church family, but those who come to the one who can be healed. Those who are hurting and those who are willing to listen to the message of Jesus. But where do you meet them? You meet them wherever they are, just like Jesus. At the home, your home, at a home of a guest, or where you are a guest, as you walk from one place to another doing your regular daily routine, whether it be in the grocery store or the bank, whether you're shopping or whether you're just having a coffee, person to person, gathering to gathering, that is where you meet people. In his everyday life, Jesus met those who needed to be healed, and he met those who needed to hear his message of hope. Are you willing to discern who needs our church family? What they need from us, the people outside of these walls? And how might we pool our resources before God and the world to continue on the mission and ministry that has been taking place for 60 years? We are the feet and hands of Christ today. We are also the one who offers a warm embrace and offers to others peace, love, and hope. Are we willing to bring hope to this world? Do we dare? Let's pray. Holy God, we praise you and we rejoice in your love for us all. Show us what it means to serve Christ this day and always. Hear us, O God, as we pray to you in silence. Show us your way, O God. Amen. The song we're going to share is new. It is called Do We Dare? And it was the, thanks. This is a song that, oh great, my mic's on. Don't sing too loud, Mom. Okay. You do need to hear the words. The chorus is on the screen, and I invite you to sing it as we go through it. We're going to hear the chorus a few times as we sing it. This song was commissioned for the 42nd General Council, which I attended in August in Corner Brook, and it's Do We Dare?
Dip our feet into the old, do we dare?
to be going to different schools, and so you won't hear them for a little while, because they have to get new instruments, and my hope is that Colin will be buying his own trumpet within the next month. And Nigel starts high school, of course, so these instruments will go back to the schools where they have been. And so there'll be new music and new things happening soon. So thank you guys. They've been listening to that song since I came home from General Council. We like it, Mom, we get it. Thank you.